By the way, before I go any further with the truck, I have made a decision on the tires. You know, I put out a video, I don't know, a week or so ago, trying to decide what I'm going to do with the real tire setup on the new 2020. Well, what I'm going to do, we're going to go ahead and use these 20-inch fuels and the Nitto ridge grapplers that I already have. We're going to go ahead and put those on the new truck. We're going to test that out for a little bit and see how it is. Well, good morning everybody. How y'all doing? Pretty good here, and welcome to the channel. Hey, real quick, check out the poke at the tires on this Jeep. I think it's just awesome. Anyway, it is another gorgeous day here in the RGV. Partly cloudy, about 80 degrees out here now, I think. Got the tundra out here, sunbathing a little bit. So I thought it'd be a good time to test out something on the Tacoma here, something that people have been telling me I have, that quite frankly I don't think I have, but we're going to find out and we're going to go for a ride. Before we get into that, did you guys check out the Tesla Cybertruck, the all-electric truck unveiling last night? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of that beast. So, what we're gonna try out is remote start. You know, a lot of people have told me and asked me if I've tried the remote start on the Tacoma back here, and to be honest, I never have. Because for me, I don't really need it. You know, we don't get snow and crappy winter weather here, so I don't need to start the truck up to warm it up or anything, and I'm not real big on cooling it down before I get in. You know, I'll put the window down and wait until the air conditioning fires up, you know. But anyway, they've told me that because I have the TRD and push button start and keyless remote, that somehow I have remote start. Now, first of all, let me say I do not believe this to be true. Before I started this video, I looked at the sticker and I didn't see anything about remote start, so I don't believe it's there. But they tell me it comes on every one of these trucks. So supposedly what you do, you have your remote here, and you're supposed to be able to push the button. I believe it's the lock button, might be the unlock button, I'm not sure which one it is, 3 times, holding it down on the 3rd try, and the truck will start. Again, I'm not thinking that's true. The other reason they tell me that I have this is because in addition to it being a TRD with the push button start, keyless entry, all that, that I have satellite radio. I don't know what satellite radio has to do with anything. I do have satellite radio, but we shall see. So let's go ahead. I'm going to start with the lock button, of the top button here on the remote. We're going to push that 3 times, holding it on the 3rd try. You'll hear the truck back here behind me start, so let's give it a try. 1, 2, 3. I'm holding it. Nothing happening. All right, just for kicks, let's do it 3 times and hold it on the 4th and see if anything happens. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You hear the crickets? Because I don't hear any truck starting. So it obviously does not work utilizing the lock button. Let's try it with the unlock button. I don't know. Here we go. 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing there. Now we'll try it 3 times. See if anything happens. 1, 2, 3. Nothing. As I suspected, that is a myth. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people or gotten comments from people asking me if I've tried the remote start, or telling me, as people like to do on here, telling me that I have remote start. I don't need to go out and get remote start. I already have it. Well, I think you guys could see right back there, I don't have remote start. All right, how about a cold start? Let's go ahead, get in here. We're gonna do A little bit of a cold start. I know, cold when it's 80 degrees outside, but cold for the engine because it hasn't been started in probably 3 or 4 days. So we're going to go ahead and do a little cold start with the TRD exhaust, and actually it's just the TRD exhaust. I had the TRD cold air intake on here, but I've removed that, of course, for the next truck. So let's go ahead and start it up. Let's hear what it sounds like. Okay, we have debunked that rumor. So for anybody out there who thinks that just because you have the TRD version with the push button start, I guess in satellite radio, that you somehow have remote start in your Tacoma, I can assure you that unless it came equipped that way or it was added as an option, and that could have been done, you know, at the distribution point. That's where they add most of the options, the aftermarket stuff or the Toyota stuff when the truck comes in. You don't have remote start. So once and for all, that settles that. So we're out cruising around. I haven't driven the Tacoma in about probably 3 or 4 days, something like that. I get it out every once in a while, and to be honest, I haven't been driving it a lot because I'm trying to keep the miles down on it to keep the value up, because I'm trading it. Trading it on the 2020, of course, Tacoma, as soon as mine is built and comes in. I don't know. So I haven't been driving it a whole lot, but I gotta say, I do miss driving the Tacoma. You know, I'm kind of torn, honestly, when it comes to the Tacoma and the Tundra. I mean, I like both, you know. I like the size and the power of the Tundra. I think if I could get a Tacoma that had equivalent power, it doesn't have to have a big giant motor in it or anything like that, but at least if it felt as powerful as the Tundra does, then it would be equal in driving fun and driving pleasure, I think, for me anyway, you know. And again, I'm not saying it's got to have a, you know, a giant V8 5.7 liter, although I wouldn't turn it down if it were available. But nonetheless, it's fun to drive, and the reason it's fun to drive, I think, is because of its size. You know, after driving the Tundra daily, which is what I've been doing for the most part lately, it's nice to get in something a little bit smaller. I mean, it's still, you know, don't get me wrong, the Tacoma is not a tiny truck. You know, when you compare it to a car, you know, it's obviously bigger, and you still have the size. But when looking at it as compared to a full-size truck, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Obviously, it's smaller. And there's something, I don't know, just innately fun about driving a smaller vehicle and kind of zipping around in it, if you will, if that makes any sense. You know, it's fun to just go out and kind of zoom around all over, and it's easier to do with a smaller footprint. You know, it makes you feel a little bit closer to the road, a little bit more connected to the road. And for me, it's just a little bit more fun from that perspective. I guess I jump in the Tundra when I want something that I'm just going to cruise in, you know, not necessarily going to be doing any real spirited driving. And I'm not going to be driving around in tighter areas. You know, that's the other spot, I guess, where the Tacoma has the advantage, is it fits everywhere, you know. When you're in a parking lot or whatever, you don't have to be worried as much about where you're going to put it. And while I'm talking about parking lots, you know, one thing about parking the Tacoma versus the Tundra, even in a space, you know, if you're one of these people that park next to people, which I never do, at least not intentionally, then you got to worry about where you're at in the space. Now, with the Tacoma, of course, you have more room, right? I mean, you don't have to worry as much. You have more room in the space itself. And I know it's a stupid little thing, but it's something I think about. I don't know. Do you guys think about that? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Do you guys think about that kind of stuff? When you're going somewhere and you have to park in a parking lot, potentially next to somebody, do you try to line it up so it's, you know, evenly spaced in your space, hoping that the person that pulls in next to you isn't going to slam into the side of your truck with their door or something, you know? Anyway, I just wanted to get on here, kind of bring you guys with me a little bit after my little test
I think we've proven that indeed not every Tacoma that is a TRD with remote start and a satellite radio has remote start, rather. Mine certainly does not. You guys can see that in my test. So I think we've dispelled that myth. As usual, appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on the web. Have a great day. Bye.